Hello there. It's been a while. Got some green tea here, some lemon. Feeling good. Today I am asking you to wishlist Immortal Gates of Pyre on Steam and share this video with as many people as you can and convince as many as people as you can to wishlist this on Steam. It makes a huge difference to the chances of success. And if you've followed my videos and my sort of career in RTS for a long time, you know how much this means to me and to the team. And so the rest of what I'm going to say in this video is you probably don't need. But if you need additional convincing, that's what this video is all about. So I'm going to tell you my story. It begins in 2011, where a StarCraft 2 professional player named Liquid Noni, or Noonie, or Tyler, depending on the era or the timing, did something weird with his hotkeys. He decided to put, I think, a control group on Q, which broke my brain in half. Control groups are supposed to be numbers, not letters. But he explained his reasoning about why he did that, and that really opened me up to the idea of, like, wait a minute, what if we just started this thing from scratch? What if we really thought this through from the beginning? And what if that was one of the ways that I could contribute kind of to the RTS space? Maybe that could help more players get into the game. And so in 2012, after working on my own hotkey layout for quite a while, I made a sacrifice to the RTS gods. I had an opportunity to live without having to pay rent for a year. And so I saved up a bunch of money for my job at the pizza place and my other job moving boxes at FedEx. And I sold my car, I sold all my musical instruments, I sold my rock climbing gear, I sold anything with any value of resale, basically. And just sort of sat on that money and used that money to stream every day and focus in on the low-level experience. So focusing in on what is it like to be a brand new to RTS? What are the challenges that you run into? What is the advice that I could tell 12-year-old Tom learning StarCraft 1? Hey, do this, and you're going to save yourself a whole bunch of time. You know, you're going to get way better really fast, because that's kind of one of the fun things about a new discipline, is that you get those beginner gains where you're just like, oh wow, this is a quarter note, this is a whole note, okay, I get it, bam, I'm doing rhythms now, I understand rhythms, right? In StarCraft, like, understanding macro and how that works is just like, oh, okay, I can just make Marines and get into Diamond League. Wow, got it. And further, depending on how good you are, but I only made it to Diamond. Very sad. So I made basically a sacrifice to the RTS gods. But why? Why would I do that? And there are two. No, there's just one reason. The reason is that RTS is special. There are a lot of games, a lot of genres of games in the world that you play, and they're fun, they're entertaining, it's a nice escape from reality for a while, and then you come back to reality. In your day-to-day life, your ability to quickly match 3, not too helpful. However, in your day-to-day life, the ability to understand opportunity cost, the ability to understand that the order that you do things has a lot bigger impact than you might think it does. And other various lessons that you can gain from playing RTS. It really helps you to make better decisions in life, to avoid unnecessary suffering that you may run into from making poor decisions. It teaches you that the perfect is the enemy of the good, and doing things good enough is really more effective. If you can make a good decision quickly, many times it's better than taking all the time you need to make the perfect decision. So many life lessons come out of playing RTS. And so I decided I was going to dedicate a year of my life to trying to bring those benefits to a wider audience and really focus on the low-level players, because most of the content at that time was really focused on build orders and high-level play and pro-level analysis, and just a lot of assumptions and things get skipped over that if you don't understand the basics, it's really confusing, because if you're looking at this unit chart and you're like, aha, the Baneling counters the Marine, and then you go and you build a Baneling, and they have 1,000 Marines and you have 5 Banelings, and you do a lot of damage. You're very cost efficient, but then you lose the game and you get real mad because you're like, but I built the counter. Unit counters are definitely an important part of the video game, but if you don't understand macro, you're going to get real frustrated real fast. And that was probably the most common frustration of bronze level players that I talked to. So in order to make content for low level players, I got a new account, tanked it into bronze, and I would just lose games against bronze level players. And then I would talk to them. I would ask them why they think they won, why they think they lost, why they built 4 pylons before their first gateway, and other various things like that. And I would try to help them and give them tips and sort of really focus in on how do you get from bronze to silver, because I couldn't really help people get from only playing the campaign to playing bronze. Those people weren't really accessible to me, but I wanted to get to those people. And eventually I would through a video game company called Sunspear Games. So I'm on my mission, trying to make StarCraft more fun and less frustrating for as many people as possible. It's 2012. And one of the ways I'm doing that is hotkeys, right? So inspired by Noni, I said, okay, we'll make better hotkeys, and that'll help people not have to figure out, oh man, I'm doing pretty good, but I can't reach the 7 on my keyboard reliably. I got to look down and press it, right? Like, what if those things were easier to press? What if those things were closer? And so I made a hotkey layout, and there's a rival hotkey layout out there called Dark Grid, made by Foxy Mayhem on TeamLiquid.net, and people told me, why is your layout better than Dark Grid? And I said, well, I'm a 23-year-old arrogant young man who believes that he is right in all things. I'm going to tell you why I'm right about all the decisions that I made in my layout and why Dark Grid is wrong. And I began writing that up, and I had this little thought, and it was that one of those moments where if I didn't have that thought, everything in my life would be completely different. And that thought was, you know what? I should probably reach out to this Foxy Mayhem character and ask them, tell them that I'm doing this article, that I'm writing this piece about why I think they screwed up and I'm right and they're wrong. I'm not like that anymore. I've learned. But at the time, that's how it was. And so I went into that conversation. I reached out on TeamLiquid.net. We got into a voice call, and what happened was one of the best friendships that I've ever had, that I still, have and nurture and appreciate today, was formed. And that is my relationship with Zanya, one of the co-founders of Sunspear Games. So instead of writing an article comparing our 2 layouts, we said, hey, what if we just totally scrap everything, start from scratch, and build a layout together? Which we did. So, we started a hotkey layout called The Core. We managed to convince a number of professional gamers to use the layout. We got on one of Artosis's shows at some point to talk about it, to talk about hotkeys and optimization and all that type of stuff. Um, and that was sort of the beginning of things. And so I was making content for low-level players. I was working on the hotkeys, which continue to get developed, by the way. We made about 35, 40 different versions of the core over the years, and I learned every single one of them. And so the other thing that I got out of that experience is that I have the unique experience, personal experience of what is it like to have no mechanical muscle memory that's correct and trying to play the game. And that's a lot of times what people miss out on when they're trying to teach someone RTS at a lower level. They usually pile on too much information too quickly because they're forgetting, hey, this person is literally learning how to press A and click somewhere to attack, right? Like, that's not automatic for them yet. It's really easy to overload someone when they're playing an RTS. And so we started to get into modding later that year. So Zanya and I kind of parted ways after the first version of the core. She went off to work on One Goal with Dylan, who's also a co-founder of Sunspear Games. And I was really focused on making content. I would sort of help out. I would make videos for the mods that she was working on. In 2014, we had Raze, which was kind of like a squad battler type RTS attempt, which we ultimately felt didn't have enough depth to it, but a lot of important lessons. That's where we first developed the concept of a unified command card, the idea that all of your commands live in this command card, and you don't have to click on anything to play the game. You don't have to click on a worker to build something. You just press the build button, select the building you want, you click. The game selects the worker, it sends it out, it does its thing. Same thing, right? Tech, production of units, all that stuff is all combined into the command card, so that way you don't have to look around and remember, crap, where did I put my upgrade building? No, that's the wrong upgrade building. Wait, did I put it in my natural? Very frustrating for low-level players to go through that experience. So some early innovations there in the UX. 2014 was also the year that Starbow came out. One of the other co-founders of Sunspear Games, Travis Toller, the lead gameplay designer for Starbow, alongside Ziphius, who also works with us at Sunspear Games. And in 2017, we all kind of came together to create a mod called Vanguard, which you can still play on StarCraft 2 if you want. And what we wanted to test was, okay, what if we struck a balance between the Age of Empires style RTS, where you have basically all the civilizations are exactly the same, except some key differences get changed. Like you get a unique unit, you get a unique upgrade, or something is slightly different about the stats of your cavalry or whatever it might be. And then StarCraft, which StarCraft races are all completely unique, zero overlap. If you're learning Zerg, you're pretty much starting from scratch if you're a Protoss player, right? And so we wanted to create this balance where we would have factions. In StarCraft, they call them races, but we would have factions like StarCraft, and we would have variations on that faction that we called commanders at the time, right? So each faction would have a commander, and the commander of that faction would add one or two unique units, maybe an upgrade here or there, something like that. We eventually tested a version of Vanguard with 6 factions, 2 commanders each, for a total of 12 potential playstyles that you could opt into. And we had a $5,000 prize pool tournament casted by myself and In Control, Jeff Robinson. And man, that tournament was wild. It just kind of went off. It was very difficult. There were so many technical difficulties. We barely made it to each stream working on time. We were going to random audio places in San Francisco to like put together makeshift. It was a disaster, but it was lots of fun, and we ended up pulling it off. And the ultimate result was that 30 of the 32 people who played in the tournament, and these are people at the time who were pretty much the highest level StarCraft 2 players of the time, right? You had people like Innovation, Classic, Gumiho, QXC, and BCQD won the tournament. And you might say, hey, how can two people win the tournament? It was a 2 versus 2 tournament, because that was one of the other sort of missions that we were on, is that we were on a mission to make RTS more social, less isolating, because solo queue all day long in your room alone can be very, very sad. You're improving, you're learning, but sometimes it's hard to share that with others, and a lot of times it's really hard to like play in a 2v2 if you're really good and your friend is just like a complete scrub, right? And so we wanted to make a really good 2v2 experience. We wanted to test that at the highest level, so it wasn't, oh yeah, you can play 2v2 but it's not balanced or it's not competitive. We really wanted to make a game that had both 1v1 and 2v2 as legitimate competitive experiences. And so we got really good feedback from the pro players. And at that point in time, we really felt we had the gameplay formula. After going through 4 mods at that point, and within those mods, we had completely different build families, which were totally wild. Like, what if we had auto-spawning units? What if we had lanes like a MOBA? We tried all kinds of crazy stuff, and we ultimately landed on the formula that we have now. So at that point, we founded the company, 2017, officially founded 8 years ago, and we started working on the game. But it was all volunteer. We were just making it out of our free time when we could, because we really wanted to, because it was important to us. And we started looking for investment, and we got our first bit of investment in 2019. And the amount of money that we got from that investment wasn't as important as who it was coming from for us, because we all met, myself and the co-founders, we all met on teamliquid.net. The first investment coming from Victor Goosens, co-founder of teamliquid.net, also known as Liquid Nazgul, really, really, really smart guy, was huge for us. Just that he saw the vision, he saw that we were trying to do, he believed in us, he backed the project. And that initial investment allowed us to go out and get more investment. It allowed us to co-locate in Oregon. And I spent the last 5 years in Oregon, from 2020 to last year, early this year, however the math works out, developing the game. And it was quite difficult. There was a lot of struggle. There were times when we had investment, and then there were times when we went back to volunteer, and people weren't making money anymore. And we just kept working on the game, figure out a way to make ends meet, get side jobs, all this type of stuff. The team that we have built are incredible. They're incredible people. They're wizards. The stuff that they do in each of their own domains is nuts to me. I do my own little piece, right, and I put that into the equation, but everyone's doing that in their own way. And it's really incredible, the dedication that the people of this company, Sunspear, have put into this game over the past 8 years. And it was cool because Zanya and I were able to really get that campaign-only player base access, right? Before, we could talk to the Bronze League players, but now if we're making our own game, we can make the game easier from the beginning. We can make the tutorial better. We can rethink how tutorials are done. We can really make a smooth ramp from campaign or PvE over to PvP. Not that people need to do that, really important detail there, but just making the whole system cohesive, making things easy to learn and possible to master. And the gameplay that we've created at this point, I'm extremely proud of. It is really deep without being too complex. We don't have complexity that we don't absolutely need. It's easy to learn. It's impossible to master. The controls are simplified, but you can still do all of the skill expression and micro techniques that you can in a game like StarCraft 2. Like I was saying before, it's really balanced for both 2v2 and 1v1 gameplay. And all of that is with about 20% of the UX innovations and designs that Zanya and I have come up with over the years. And that's because engineers are valuable, important, and expensive. And so having the idea is much easier than making it a reality. And so that's now where we get to today, making this a reality. We have been in alpha or pre-alpha for a long time. We are moving into the next phase of things relatively soon. Not anything that I can announce officially. That's up to the marketing department, so I won't say anything else. And our success, it turns out, comes down to you. It always has, but it does in this moment in a very specific way, in that if enough people wishlist the game, Steam boosts self-promotion of the game in its algorithm, right? We live in a world of algorithms now. Sorry, that's where we are. If we boost that metric, if you wishlist, if you share this video with your friends and they wishlist, support the project, the passion of the team and what we're trying to build here, then we have a lot better chance of being successful in the next stage of our development. We have a lot better chance of getting more investment, getting a publisher potentially if we don't end up self-publishing. It's all, it's been 14 years for me, and at least a decade for most of the other people on the team working at this with, we like to call in the scene in Iron Man 1 where the main villain, I forget his name, but he's pissed off at his scientists, and he says, Tony Stark built this in a cave with a box of scraps. That's very much what it feels like. We have other competitors right now making and have made new modern RTS games, trying to push the genre forward just like us. And we hope that you support those games as well. It's really hard to make an RTS game, and it's really hard to get funding for one. But we've been doing it with anywhere between an eighth and a tenth of the budget of our competitors, and that's because it's all passion. We keep going. If we run out of money, we keep going. Because we really believe in RTS, and we believe that the gameplay that we've developed and the world that we've created, the IP that the gameplay lives within, are really something special. And if you and your friends and your dog and your grandma all wishlist our game, it will very likely make the difference between success and failure. And so I really hope that you will support us. And at this point, yeah, our fate is largely in your hands. We've created this gameplay, and we want to have the opportunity to continue to develop on it, to receive your feedback about it, make improvements, to continue to develop, to continue to evolve the genre. So thank you for listening. Thank you for making it to the end of this video. I'm not going to edit it, so there's going to be the abnormal little bits and bobs and sipping of tea. I hope you have an excellent rest of your day, and I hope to see you on the Sunspear social medias, because we'll be telling you things there in the future that I can't talk about. Good luck, have fun.